What's going on? What's going on? You already know what time it is. This is your boy, the historian. You either get right or you get left, as we say. Hey, we got a special one today. Gonna talk a little bit about Grady and the Falcons at this point. This is just a quick pop-up show. We're gonna have folks to come through today, so y'all know what to do. Sit back, relax, get ready to chime in. We got you covered.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
Man, it's a lot of people right now that's in their feelings right now. And I mean, it's just bad. I can't even hear myself think of all the gripes and complaints we're hearing right now. At this point, we've been saying that we need some change. We've been saying that something needs to happen. Guess what? Unfortunately, Grady happened to be a casualty of what's going on right now. Think about it, folks. Grady Jarrett gave us his best the whole time he was in Atlanta. Gave us his best. But unfortunately, things just didn't come through. Think about it. We gave him money. He got hurt. Outside of getting hurt, a lot of stuff just didn't transition. Drew Dalman had a slow start, if you guys remember. He was one of the guys a lot of us wanted to get rid of because we had Hen Dog doing this thing. But Dalman figured it out. Young guy got into being a center and became one of the game, pretty much the premier center of today's game right now at this point. But unfortunately, we don't have any cash to pay him. This man just literally hit a lick going to Chicago, as did Grady. So can you blame them? Let's be honest. You bring in Kirk Cousins. That contract hurt us. It hurt us in ways you can't think of. And honestly, all you're doing right now is sitting back like, damn, we lost a draft pick because of this dude coming in. And now we're losing valuable pieces to this team. Grady's locker room leadership, no matter how you want to look at it, even though the production is down, guys listen to him, and he was a respected figure in the locker room. However, when we sit back and look at it, 10 sacks in X amount of years, 3 years with 10 sacks, that's not going to cut it. Let's just be honest. That is not going to cut it. And at this point, what do you do to replace him? Ruka is a guy that, just being honest, he's not that guy at that D tackle spot. A lot of people want to try to hype it up, but let's be real. They traded up to get this dude who's literally undersized as a D tackle. Undersized as a D tackle. I'm just going to give you the optics. And it didn't look good that two guys that you drafted in the top rounds were out for the season. Pretty much were out for the majority of the season. Ruka was hurt. Then you also have Braylon Trice that busted up his knee. And then you have Brandon Dorless, who doesn't even touch the field. He really barely even touched the field. I mean, it's at a point where you sit back and say, okay, they got to start being accountable for this mess, because now you have set yourself back. Again, picking a D lineman over a running back seems a little bit smarter at this point because you would have still had a disruptive player as a rookie on this contract. But I mean, if you like it, I love it. We got a running back that's going to produce for us, but let's be honest. You can't win games if you don't control the trenches. Just saying. You don't. And now that you've had one of your most senior guys to walk, you don't have David Onyemata has been MIA. MIA. Period. And he stole money. Let's just be honest. He stole money. And he did it fair and square. And I can't even be mad at the brother. Hey, if I got a chance to get me a couple of $1 million and slide over to a team, I'm going to give you this here, and then I can just keep getting my paychecks that's going to be guaranteed. Why not? Why not? And at this point, I'm with you on that, Gabe. Thank you. Finally, somebody else is seeing what I'm seeing. It's been 5 years, and we've had 2 above average players on defense. You have one phenomenon on defense in Jesse Bates. But let's be honest, everybody else, they're role players. They are role players. We are playing with role players and really trying to become a championship team. You can't have all of your defense as role players. People are going to get mad at me when I say it, but you know what? Hey, they was mad at Jesus for telling the truth. They killed him. Let's be honest. They crucified the Lord. I'm just saying that, you know, if it doesn't fit your religious beliefs, it's cool. It is what it is. But let's be honest. Anytime truth is put out there and people don't want to face it, there's a lot of delusion that comes with it. And then it becomes, oh, you're hating. No. Look, Grady needed help. We thought David Onyemata was going to be the guy that was going to give him his second win. And then when you had Calais Campbell, which was another guy who came into Atlanta and literally bolstered everything, Grady had new life. He had help. The problem was you took away his help. When you take away that help, you put more of a load on the guy, and this guy was carrying a load for years. And he can't do it by himself. He had average defensive linemen on the line with him. Zach Harrison is starting to figure it out, slowly but surely. Arnold Ebiketie decided to come around finally after some years. He decided to figure it out. But again, he's playing for his job coming up this year. And then you have to look at the linebacking core. The linebacking core could have been more effective, but guess what? We didn't have anybody in front of them to take that pressure off of them so they could actually make more game-changing plays. Just saying. Just saying. And, you know, at this point, we have 4 picks. We're going to get some more money. They're going to move it around. But as of now, you got $28 million. Now, just think about this. With your draft class that you're going to have coming out, you know, you pay guys $4 to $7 million. But if you're paying 3 guys within that, you literally are going to give up at least in between, I'll say 14 being the cheapest, up to, how can I put it? I'll say up to 20 million. And that's for multiple players. That's for 3 players. If you have 4 players, you're still going to have to pay money. So you're going to have to make some moves to be able to pay your rookie class. And the question is this: are you going to be able to sign not just your rookie class? Are you actually going to be able to bring in a free agent that can help this defense? Because defensive tackles are going like this. Then you got edge rushers. I'm just saying. Right now, we can't really do anything until the later days. In other words, hoping to get the scraps. You see the buffet on the table. You see everybody getting a plate. But guess what? You're waiting for the crumbs. And at this point, we're pretty much crumb snatching right now, because the mistakes that the front office has made is definitely hurting what we're doing right now. You know, I don't ever want to just drag somebody, but at the same time, when you show signs of incompetency, I'm going to speak on it. We have an incompetent head coach and we have an incompetent general manager at this point. And then you have the incompetence that comes from their bosses. Arthur Blank is the man that's signing these checks. And my thing is, Arthur, you don't mind pretty much not taking guys and putting your foot down for not taking guys that have questionable paths. You don't mind telling, well, we're not going to draft that guy if he's got character issues. Guess what? You put your foot down with that. When are you going to put your foot down with your general manager and your coach to stop making these piss poor moves? You allowed these people to talk you into letting Raheem Morris coming into this organization, knowing what this man was. And now it really looks even worse because we didn't make the playoffs. We're in a situation to where we're just praying and hoping right now. We went from being able to shop at Lloyd and Taylor's, Gucci, and these places. Now we're going back to not even Target. Hell, we're going to Dollar Tree right now. Dollar Tree, Dollar General. We getting ready to get some bargain deals right now. When we had money, we put it on the wrong places. It's pretty much what we did. I get that you were trying to play chess, but you know what? It seems like it backfired. Yes, we got Penix, but here's the question. Now that you've taken the guy that he has cohesion with away from him, you got Ryan Nizel that's coming up. He's a left-handed center or whatnot, which I don't know how that's going to play out. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But you had a center that he was already comfortable with. This is what you have to understand. It's not just snapping the ball. He has to be comfortable with trusting his center to call out those Mike linebackers that's going to come down his throat so he can know to adjust to his hot reads on the fly. He's got to be able to trust the guy that's in front of him to do some things because we have a lot of work to do. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We have a lot of work to do. Now, right now, it's like a one-legged man in a karate kicking contest. You pretty much trying to kick somebody's ass, but you're getting your own ass kicked right now. That's really what it is. So there's not a lot of hate and a lot of anger, but there's a lot of frustration at this point. There's a lot of frustration at this point. And the question is, can we figure it out? That is my question for everybody. What do you think it's going to take to figure this out? Because financially, we had money at one point, then it goes away, and then you pretty much put yourself in a position to where you've really hurt yourself all the way around. So all I know is at this point, it's what it is. They had to make moves. They had to bring in some finances so they could sign at least the rookie class. Now the question is, are we going to be bringing in anybody from free agency? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Who's to say? But there's still a lot of things that can happen in this offseason. But so far, it's off to a horrible start. I'm not gonna sit there and BS you. You know, the thing is, we had an opportunity to sign Josh Sweat. Sweat is gone down to Tampa. Now, I'm sorry, that's Hassan Reddick that's down in Tampa. Josh Sweat, we had a chance to get him. We didn't get him. Reddick is going to be a pain in our ass. He's going to Tampa with that defense. So now you have to worry about McGarry getting beat by a guy that is definitely a problem. Chris Godwin is going back. Tampa has a chance to take the division. Quiet as it's kept, say what you want, but the Carolina Panthers could be a problem. Everybody say, oh, look, they have issues at this point. Yes, like we do. But they're in a better position than we are because they're bringing in guys. Now, the one thing they don't have is when you look at Horn. Horn is another person that is a waste of money because he was injury prone. You look at some of the options that are out here, we can't afford them. Simply can't afford them. Now, what I am going to do, just to keep this thing a buck, I'll just say this. I'm actually going to put the link in the chat. You can go ahead and come on in. Bring whatever concerns you got to the table. If you want to talk to me about something about this team, go for it. I'm all about it. But I'm not gonna say Horn is worth 100 mil, and I agree with you on that. But the injuries has been the problem. So this is just what it is. So what's good, man?
What's going on? I ain't gonna be that long. Ryan, man, you nailed it on the point, man. You've been consistent, and me, you agree that Grady Jarrett was gonna be gone, and hopefully we could release Kirk Cousins. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just don't think that it will be better or benefiting us if we keep him on the bench because we need players right away, and we will have to trade up. I understand we might be landing the 15, but if I'm Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris, I'm trading back to get more draft picks, bro. We have to nail this draft. And I said Drew Dalman was gonna be gone. Salute to him. He deserves his bag. Well, hey, we good what we got. So with that being said, we got to make it to the playoffs, man. We got to.
But here's the question: How do you make it to the playoffs when you really have no depth on your D line like that? You really don't have. You're getting ready to bring in another situation to where your center is a new guy that's playing with another quarterback now. I put this comment up because you actually said the Carolina Panthers coach was better. GA Texas boy says Canals is not better than Morris in his opinion. That's not saying much.
But to me, man, Raheem Morris, he's too complicated, man. He don't stick with work, man. Like I understand, like we had Jimmy Lake, but Boom saying, man, we got to get this defense right. I don't care what we do. I don't care you get undrafted or D2 school. We got to put the nail in the coffin and get some diamonds in the rough. Players who if I'm the Falcons, I'm trading down.
You see why I'm laughing, right?
Because we ain't got no defensive line. We deserve it though.
And I said this long time ago, and everybody's been trying to get on me and cuss me out and say I'm the worst person in the world that said Bijan shouldn't have been here. I'm still staying on that. He's here now. It is what it is. But guess what? This is the product of that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you had a game changer in Jalen Carter that was right there. Grady was going to be gone soon. We all knew this. We all knew he was going to be gone. But at the end of the day, as I said before, our fans love flash. They don't like substance. And guess what? The substance was going to be there with flash on that D line. Now, Bijan is a hell of a player, hell of a pick. Guess what? We got to work with it. But right now, we're scrambling trying to fix our defense. You had Tyler Algier. You had guys who could carry the ball. But again, everybody is on the flash play. Period. So again, you had a chance to sign Josh Sweat. You've had a chance to bring in players. Boom, I got you in a sec. But all I'm saying is, let's be real, family. What are we doing here? And now you got, like I said, I don't have a problem with Nigel playing, but the problem I got, Wallace, is what depth do we have at center? Let's be honest. Nigel can start. He plays well, but Nigel is not a guy that's going to sit there and be that consistent rock on that O-line because he's been a spot player majority of his career. So we'll see what happens, but you got to start getting your depth right. And we had a chance to, and we didn't. Boom, what's good, man?
Man, what's going on with you, Ryan, man? What's going on with you, bro? Man, I'm going to say this. This move with Grady Jarrett being released, man, it just really changed the whole focus of the draft for us, in my opinion, man. You know, because now I'm looking at the situation. Do we go Kenneth Grant from Michigan at number 16 now? Because the situation that we're in, we know we need edge rush. And I do believe that Rook and Brandon Douglas could possibly step up and fill that role. You know, with the Falcons, they're not now we have more holes than we had going into the offseason. And those holes just got dug a little bit deeper. You know, because think about it. With them restructuring Jake Matthews and releasing Grady Jarrett, it does free up $20 million in cap space, and they're expected to get a little bit more money than that. But honestly, where do the Falcons go from here? Who can they afford? You know, and the fact of the matter is, I just think the whole draft is shaking now. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they go defensive tackle at 16, which in my opinion, I think Grant from Michigan may make sense at that position now just because we have to fill that void. But, man, and in terms of Newsel being that center, man, for anybody in the comments, I'm going to let y'all know right now. If now, like I said, we're going to believe in any guy that the Atlanta Falcons decide to put in that spot. But Newsel, we can say the ass word, can't we, Ryan?
Oh, go right ahead. You can say it. I'm fine with it.
Get his ass whooped every single week. And for those Falcon fans who believe in Newsel, well, the Carolina Panthers just signed Deshaun Wharton. Now they got a Derrick Brown, Deshaun Wharton, and they beefing that defensive front up. And we got to see this guy 2 times a year. You talking about, and they ain't even include Ashawn Robinson and Thompson at linebacker. We're not even going to talk about those guys. We're not even going to talk about potentially Cooper Kupp may end up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the NFC South is about to get stronger, and the Atlanta Falcons are stuck in neutral right now. Where do we go? Who can we afford? Everybody keep talking. We're not going to be able to afford Myles Garrett. Right now, the Atlanta Falcons just let 2 centerpiece guys go. 2 centerpiece guys. I'm going to say it again, 2 center. Now, we all knew early in the season what's going on with King. We all knew early in the season that Grady probably was going to get released. We knew this was coming. I didn't want the Dalman situation to go due to the fact that how many great centers are in free agency right now? And are you banking on Newsel or a late round rookie to come in and be your guy that's going to be snapping the ball and to where the defensive tackle position is getting crazier and crazier? Your Jordan Davises, your Bobby Browns, man, the list go on and on and on. So we just lost. And shout out to the Chicago Bears. Those 2 moves alone pretty much put them in the playoffs. The Chicago Bears can possibly compete for an NFC North title. So
that wasn't just the only move they had today.
Oh, I know.
But
I was gonna say
what made me mad about the Dalman move more than the Grady move, because you seen who Tampa Bay just picked up as a linebacker, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, Chicago.
Yeah, I pointed that last new offensive line there now. So now you had a chance to bring that guy in. Now you got to face him 2 times a year. This is just what it is.
And
come on in.
All of the game changers are gonna be gone before we figure out what we gonna have in money, man.
I told you I wanted smoke today earlier, so you right up in here, right on time. Thank you, brother. So I'm letting y'all know now. Today is a day I'm a villain today. But let's be real though, fellas. Before I let you cook, Texas boy, welcome Rich, welcome Ron. I'm gonna say this: when you look at what we have, and I said this last season, if we don't grab the division by the horns last year, guess what's getting ready to happen? We literally are watching. Tampa is making these moves. Tampa's got money. Tampa understood the mission on being able to keep things balanced. Guess what? We're not balanced. We lost a draft pick due to Kirk Cousins earlier this year.
But see,
if we'd had 5 draft picks, I was like, all right, I wouldn't have had no problem. You know what I'm saying?
We technically do sort of got 5, but it's gonna take you to get rid of Judon to get that compensatory pick. But in the same token, it's like I'm really not even. I'm mad at the organization, but who I'm really mad at is Kirk Cousins, because I think he the straw that broke Grady back when he went up there during the Super Bowl talking about, oh, I got hurt in the Saints game, so now Grady looking at y'all like, why would I take a pay cut when you got this man over here lying about an injury that could have saved our season? If Kirk would have been truthful, he really wouldn't have lost his position, because they didn't want to play Penix anyway. Penix had been in maybe 2 games at max. Let Kirk get back right. He'd have been back out there, but his ego is what really crushed. I think his ego was what crushed Dalman and Grady, honestly. Because when you get a quarterback that lie, the players don't like that, because you just cost them. We like bro just said, we really was supposed to walk into the playoffs. We should have had a home game. We supposed to been cruising them last 5 games. Whether we won or lost them last 5, we still had the home game.
We pissed away 12 games, Rich, because I told you I had us going 11. I had us going 11-6. Everybody remember that? And I said, with the schedule that we had,
with you.
I said 11-6 was the record. And Ron, I want you to talk about how you feel about the situation, man, because this was something that we all said, look, and me and you said this on your show.
Yeah.
I told you, I said, us passing up on Jalen Carter was going to kick us in the ass. And you're seeing that right now.
Yeah. I've been saying that. Excuse my French. This on Raheem. This on Terry. This, to be honest with you, this on Arthur Blank.
But truthfully, that one pick, that was really Arthur Smith pick to get Bijan.
Well, no. But here's what I said a little earlier. The buck starts with Arthur Blank, because guess what? If you're telling your scouting department, don't bring anybody on this team that's got character issues.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the Falcons field.
Yeah, that's why this is on Arthur.
Yeah, you're right.
This go all the way back for the last 7 years.
You got to get over that Mike Vick shit. That's really what it is.
Right. But
no, because if that's the case, they're going to pass on James Pierce Jr. just because he got this. But you see how that Xavier Worthy situation turned out. Shot was just lying.
But once again, if you know how to build a team, it should not even matter. I mean, yes, it matters off the field, but sometimes you got to take a chance on players. Sometimes.
But them trenches, you right. Them trenches should have been built up first before we put running back or tight end, truthfully.
So if Arthur Blank, a real smart man, he would have told Arthur Smith, you know what, shut up.
But I think it was more McKay than Arthur Blank, honestly.
Texas, what you got, man? I know.
Okay.
Right.
It's just like they say, building the trenches. Think about when we took Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. We needed a pass rusher. We didn't technically need no DT because we had veterans in the spot. Now, just think about it. We would have took a defensive player every year, and everybody would be crying and complaining. We ain't got no quarterback. We ain't got no wide receiver. We ain't got no running back. We ain't got no tight end. We got this good-ass offensive line. We ain't got no weapons.
Yeah. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. We had weapons. Tyler Algier, chopped liver. Everybody scrapping on the man like he had a running back.
Okay.
I'm just saying, bro.
Okay, but in 2021, in 2021, the game plan changed. When Julio Jones said he ain't going back, Daredevil changed everything. Daredevil was the waste of the Kyle Pitts pick right there.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
How do Philly look like? What do
Okay, Philly. Prime example. We're in the same position Philly in right now. What did Philly do? Okay, hold on. Wait. Let me explain. When they went from Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts, what they go do? Drafted Devontae Smith, traded for A.J. Brown. They already had Miles Sanders. The following 2 years, they go draft the defense.
Brother, I live here in Philly. You can't tell me that because I watched it. I'm gonna tell you right now. You wrong, because guess what they did? They ended up replacing their offensive line during that time. They got a quarterback, but they were picking in the trenches. This is what they were doing. A lot of people looked at the splash picks. A lot of people were looking at the skill guys. But think about it. You get your skill guy, guess what they were doing? If they weren't drafting skill guys, they were drafting guys whether they were in the trenches or whether they were on the offensive side or defensive side.
Yeah, but at that time, they still had Lane Johnson. They still had Kelsey. They still had Jason Peters.
And they drafted his replacement.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But the Eagles knew what they had to do to get over their hump. They had to compliment Jalen Hurts. So they drafted Smith and they went and got A.J. Brown.
But you missed my point.
Do you really
my point is they draft dudes that got a little bit messed up background.
They did.
If you look at those Georgia players,
all of them got messed up background.
Come on,
look. I'm finna tell y'all a crazy story. I'm finna tell y'all a crazy story. I live out here in AZ. I'm chilling at the dispensary. I meet one of the guys who got a bar right on the corner of UGA. I see everybody.
Ringo, Jordan, Carson, everybody. Eyes bloodshot red. Everybody. But yeah, but it's like we can't blame our coaches on that. That right there still go up to what y'all say, Arthur Blank and Rich McKay.
Right.
But Tex, but this one I want to ask you because Boom is a coach right now, and Rich is businessman. I'm gonna put this in here, and for my vets that's out here that know what I'm about to say. All right, you're saying that, but let's be 100. You got 18 to 25-year-olds in the military handling millions of dollars worth of stuff and screwing up big time. And guess what? They get a chance to reprove themselves and get themselves right. They get a second opportunity, depending on what it is. Now, some stuff you can't come back from. It's just being honest.
Right.
Some stuff you can't. But let's be real. With some of the stuff that some of these players that should have been brought into Atlanta, I'm not just talking about just Georgia players. I'm saying there have been good players that could have been game changers for us, but because of little stuff off the field, Arthur Blank won't even touch them. He won't even touch
how we
them.
picked Tat McKinley over TJ Watt that I'm still
Exactly.
mad about.
See, I feel like the TJ Watt Tat McKinley, that's one thing about Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn always went for the diamond in the rough type player. He always did.
Yeah.
But
he always did. I understand. That was Dan Quinn and Jeff Ulbrich, because Jeff Ulbrich was the DC at UCLA. I understand. But Dan Quinn, just like Arthur Smith, the one thing I can say about these coaches who come from it take them a long time to get to where they at. They went to a small school, a long process. They always go for diamond in the rough type players
because they came from those small schools.
Exactly.
But it's just that they know how to identify talent. That's what they do. And I'm gonna give you this. I told everybody a long time ago, Marquise Bell should have been our safety when I first started this show. Everybody gave me grief about that and said, no, it's not just because he came out of FAMU. He left UCF because of politics that Richie Grant had in his back pocket. And that's the reason why he went to FAM. And think about it. Richie about to be out the door pretty much. This man just signed a contract for Dallas to be a safety, and he's about to start. So again, fam, when you talk about and that was a Dan Quinn guy that he found, and it really wasn't much of a find because he was a top safety. But let's be honest, fellas.
I forgot about that Falcon field today.
What you got?
Look, this man, we can sit up here, and I agree with everybody. This pretty much is adding on what everybody is saying, right? We can sit up here and talk about who they drafted out. Man, let's go all the way back to 2008. When was the last year we had a dominant pass rusher?
John Abraham.
I retire.
I don't even remember. It's been so long ago. I'm gonna just be honest.
I want to say it was between 05 and 08, or maybe 10, maybe. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna say let's just hypothetically say it's been 15 years. Other than Jesse Bates, right? And I'm a guy. Of course, the draft is you have great generational future Hall of Fame players coming through the draft. But what have the Falcons done veteran-wise over the last 2 decades to bring in veterans in their prime? What have they done to establish a defensive identity? Now, we saw some things under Ryan Nielsen. We saw some things under I forget his name before, old veteran
DP.
Yeah, we saw some type of structure, but truth be told, the Atlanta Falcons have blown 20 seasons in free agency, even seasons where they had money. The Falcons
but that was deemed
on rookies. And don't get me wrong. I love the draft. I love the draft. I love the process. I love to see the future Hall of Famers coming in, future Super Bowl winner, future Super Bowl MVPs. But if y'all think about it, the Falcons have been relying on the draft since Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to, of course, just like the Chiefs or teams that win, they don't have to go out and they can go get guys that they can develop, guys that have less pressure, that can come into the system and do exactly what they need them to do. But what other than outside of Jesse Bates, they went and got a broke down Todd Gurley, a broke down
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson, who was almost playing looked like he's 50 years old on the field. Right. So, like I said, the only two splash moves they've made offensively and defensively was Michael Turner and Jesse Bates.
Hey, but that was what I was finna say. If you remember, that's what pissed Dean Pease off because he couldn't even figure out what scheme to run with the bullshit defense. I'm gonna be honest, if Dean Pease would have had like a Jalen Carter, if he'd have just had the semblance of the defense we got now, I think our defense would look different. But you gotta think about who Dean Pease really had to deal with when he first got here with Arthur Smith, and then when you turn around and instead of getting Dean Pease help on defense, you pick just about every offensive player you can pick in the next two drafts. Right. The first year, you didn't give him nobody. The second year, when the player ran into him, so he just got to give it up, but you didn't get him. No, you go get, like bro said, you go get him Richie Grant. Come on, bro. Like, you going to tell me it wasn't a better safety in the draft than Richie Grant.
Once again. And the fact of the matter is, the Atlanta Falcons are now in a situation where we got a quarterback that came off an Achilles tear. We got to pay him $27.5 million next year, and then another $45 million in 2026. Right? So we talk about salary cap. Hell, we went through all those years trying to get this salary cap, trying to get people off the books, and that's going to be probably another 3 years before we get to where we need to be money-wise again. Because Kirk Cousins ain't giving no money back. And they did free up $20 million with the Grady Jarrett release and restructuring Jake Matthews. But truth be told, how far is this money gonna stretch? Because we're not talking like the Atlanta Falcons. They need a couple puzzle pieces. No, they need the whole puzzle.
Yeah. Hey, but the crazy part is you let that man eat up all our cap space by giving him $180 million, right? And I remember we kept talking about this. You know how the media be like the NFC South, the worst division. But if you remember, we used to be one of the best divisions. Right. It's just that all of us was in cap hell at one point. If you want to be real about it, Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina, everybody was in cap purgatory in the South, except for really Tampa Bay because they spent their chips in Tom Brady. But if you look at it, like we kept saying, how long you expect these teams to be in purgatory? How long you expect these teams not to get players? Not only does Carolina have money, but Carolina got a bunch of picks too.
Yeah.
And let's be honest.
But the difference between them and us, we don't know how the draft work for us. And they do. Let's keep it 100.
That's what I was getting at. Right. Every team in the South knows how to draft. New Orleans, you can say what you want. It's starting for me to be hard to believe that Terry was on New Orleans scout team because New Orleans even draft Georgia players. Everybody draft Georgia players with us. Everybody draft. Matter of fact, we barely even draft SEC players, period. They ain't even
Wait a minute. We do draft SEC players, but guess where they come from? They come from the University of Florida. They come from Alabama, the few out of Alabama, and they go to LSU. If they go anywhere, those are those schools. And then Clemson, for some reason, they got a hard on for Clemson, which I don't understand why. And then if you don't, and here's the thing, and then you don't get the Clemson players that's worth a damn. No disrespect to Grady, but everybody outside of Grady, they not worth a damn. I'm sorry. Y'all can say what you want to say about AJ. Right. AJ's only had 2 good years in Atlanta. Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
That ain't no hate. It's what it is. I know some of y'all that tune into the show, y'all tight with him, but I don't give 2 rats. You know what up. But let's be honest. The man only played for that bag. And then you pretty much saw what happened once he got comfortable. He know he's not going nowhere.
Yep.
But then at the same time, I'm going to tell you what I believe the real straw on the camelback was. And I'm saying this because I agree with you about AJ, but I also got to look at it, play devil's advocate from another standpoint. You can't draft a man corner and then expect him to run around in the zone. It's like we don't draft correctly because I think the straw on the camelback last year was really Jimmy Lake. I'm gonna tell you that I think Jimmy Lake broke our whole defense mentally because if your players know if your players know why are we 10 yards off the ball, why are we playing off ball instead of on ball in the trenches. In the trenches, you got our players sitting back versus on the attack. And you can't keep getting through play. What I'm basically saying is the players play the game as well as the coaches coach the game. So I think
that go on Raheem.
I ain't saying that it don't. All I'm saying is that's what broke the camel back with this defense.
But if me personally, if I know this defensive coach don't got no NFL experience whatsoever.
No, he had NFL experience, Ryan. Ryan, he had NFL experience. He just wasn't good. He just wasn't good. He had NFL experience, bro.
But okay, if he a first-time defensive coordinator in the NFL, I would not even give him a chance.
But see, that's the thing. That's what I was gonna lead to. That's the reason. See, I was gonna get to Raheem because, and I ain't finna be long-winded about it, but there's no way if I was Terry as a GM, there's no way you finna bring me 2 first-time coordinators and think we finna run a season. I'll let you keep Zach Robinson, but you finna go get me a proven DC. You can't give me 2.
Hold up.
But that was the hype at that time. That was the hype at that
that's
time.
What I'm saying.
Houston had just did it. Detroit was doing it and stuff like that, so they felt like they can do the same thing. They was trying to follow path. It just ain't work.
You can't follow everybody's path.
Hold up. But you do realize Aaron Glenn had more experience than Jimmy Lake, right? Not just as a coach, but also as a player as well. So it's a little bit of a difference with that, though.
I get it, but wasn't that Aaron Glenn first time being DC?
As a DC, he was already an assistant DC before that.
I understand. I get it.
You're saying you understand, but you're still challenging it. And I'm telling you, the man was an assistant defensive coordinator as well as a DC or whatnot. Because think about it. He started off as an assistant defensive backs coach at Cleveland, left there, went to New Orleans, was a DB coach, but was working with Ryan Nielsen and that staff. Then becomes a DC in Detroit. So he was already calling plays at that time. Mm-hmm. The one thing that you got to give New Orleans credit for is this. Whether it's Terry Fontenot or Aaron Glenn, what they do for their assistants, Terry Fontenot was making a lot of moves and doing things up under Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis was letting him work his magic. Now, Mickey Loomis, for the huge stuff, Mickey would handle that, but he was letting Terry work. They do that with their DCs and guys that they're grooming in New Orleans. Just saying. Because if you look at what he came through, Aaron Glenn, first off, is a Bill Parcells guy. Mm-hmm. Right. And when you have a Bill Parcells teaching you with Belichick knowledge and everything else, you're not going to be dumb. Think about it. Him. Pepper Johnson is an assistant D coordinator. That should be a DC and a head coach at this point. There are a lot of guys that have come through those systems that are highly, I'll just say this, anybody that comes out of that Bill Parcells tree and Bill Walsh tree are highly intelligent. Yeah. You can't be a dummy to work in none of those systems at all.
So it go back to what I was saying. Me, personally, it on Raheem, Arthur Blank, and Terry. Because if I Terry, if Raheem come to me and say, hey, I want the first time defensive coordinator. You want what? Who? Nah, player, you finna go get somebody that got some experience out here. We not Detroit. We not the Rams. We not nobody like that. In my opinion. I tired of the BS. I'm finna put it all out there. If we gonna keep it 100, it start at the top.
Especially if you're gonna cost me my job. That's why I said I got to put the blame on the staff and coaching to a lot of degree, because that's why I said if I'm Terry, there's no way you would have brought me. I don't care what no other team doing. I understand what bro's saying because a lot of teams are doing that. Cliff Kingsbury is an example, but he's just a good OC. But right now, with my job on the line, because if I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, they just got rid of Arthur Smith. I'm the last on the totem pole to get rid of. You think I'm finna let? I feel that we got this connection right here. But if you think I'm finna let you bring me 2 first-year coordinators and then you want to run a scheme that we don't have the players for, you're running a 3-4 shell, a cover 3 shell, when we don't have a nose tackle or a solid middle linebacker. There's no way I'm finna run a 3-4 without a nose tackle and a solid middle linebacker. No way.
Agreed. Because when you sit back,
me and Ryan talk all the time. All the time.
You just go ahead, Ron. You got it, man. Go ahead. Go ahead, dog.
Yeah.
No, you got it, bro.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No, Ron feeling like all us feeling like this right now. That's why I said, you know what, Ryan, go ahead, bro. You got it. Because all us feeling this way right now.
I got some good news to share with you guys, though, man.
What's up?
They say that the Atlanta Falcons are now pursuing B.J. Hill and Javon Kinlaw, which ain't, to me, I mean, B.J. Hill, one of the pretty decent defensive tackle, but I think B.J. Hill, either one of those guys will be better than nothing, pretty much.
I thought Javon Kinlaw just signed with the Commander.
Oh, man, so he did sign
with At this point, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's like everybody is at the buffet and we waiting to get the crumbs off the table. We crumb snatchers right now at this point. That's really what it is. But again, all that money was dumped where? Kirk Cousins.
That's why Grady didn't take a pay cut, and I don't blame him.
All I'm saying, think about all the great free agents that they have right now. When we had money, it wasn't a ton of them out. Now that we don't have money, think about it. This is the most Falcon thing that we have at this point. This is the most Falcon thing. When we don't have money, guess what? It's a ton of options out there every time. Every time.
But you know why it's a ton of options? And I'm finna tell you something that's crazy. That's why I keep saying I hope the Falcons do trade back. Is because teams realize that this draft is so. I done did so many mock drafts just playing around.
Man.
This draft is so defensive heavy. These teams saying, you know what? We finna get rid of these old players. We'll let y'all have them. We finna go get us some young bulls. Because, I mean, even if you draft wrong, you still hit right. Like, the last mock draft I did, do you know that Mike Green or whatever his name is, he didn't even go to the second round. I was able to get him, Jack Sawyer, and a couple. It's just so deep.
Yeah.
That these teams see what it is. This year's deep. Like, I couldn't even think of an offensive player that I even wanted, honestly, except for Nick Nash. Nick Nash was the only one I wanted in a slot.
Yeah.
Ja'Cory Brooks, the wide receiver from Louisville for me. But I think a lot of teams is finna try to go find their Xavier Worthy type wide receiver. Like, I think it's going to be a run on wide receiver and tackles in the first round to where we can trade down at least twice.
And that's why
I'm be honest, a lot of these cornerbacks that I watched in the combine too slow for me. I'm just gonna be real.
But I'm gonna say this though: if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, and it's just my opinion, right? I know we need help at linebacker. I know we need a corner too. But if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm banking all my draft coins on I'm going defensive line heavy. If I got to use all my picks on defensive linemen, because like you said, Mike Green's draft stock didn't drop, but we know in most situations a guy may not drop before the draft, but he may drop on draft night. So it's a possibility the Falcons can get either a Michael Williams, James Pierce, even like Ryan always talk about some of these HBCU guys, and that's why it's going to be huge for the Falcons because they're going to have to bank on what they can get at the end of every checkpoint. Like, think about it. I think the Falcons are gonna start the rebuild process through the draft, but I think the gold mine for the Atlanta Falcons is gonna be when guys get released during training camp, when guys get cut from other teams, practice squad guys. The Atlanta Falcons are gonna have to think outside of the box in this situation because they don't.
You're right. I'm the Falcons finna go back to how he did that. Remember when Terry first got here? You going to the CFL?
Yeah.
This man going to the HBCU.
Yeah.
This man went overseas and when he got rugby players.
Exactly. But here's the thing, though. I've been saying this for the longest. If you gonna if you're gonna grab HBCU players, you already need to have who you gonna get. Because I can tell you right now, Carson Vincent getting drafted. Say what you want, he getting drafted. I've been telling people about this dude for 2 years. Then you have, as we said, Kendall Bowler, shut down corner. That's another one I've been telling people about.
What's that defensive tackle on Albany State? I know you know his name. I cannot
go ahead, Boom.
Oh, you talking about the one that's already in the league or the one that's about to go this year?
You talking about the one that's about to go this year?
Well, I don't know that much, but like I said, there's another one for the coach. Been in the league 6 years. Grover Stewart, man. I went to ASU, man. You know, we produce NFL talent down there.
Nah, see, my daddy on the alumni, so I go to all the games and I can't think of his name. Because he played that last time I went to.
I think his last name is Jones. Let me see. Hold up.
Man, when I tell you that boy like 6'5", almost 300 pounds, you just put him on the line. I'm with John this year. I need somebody 6'6", 400 pounds that got to put his stomach on the line.
Hey, we all been sitting there saying you got to put a belly in a wheelbarrow. I don't want no ankles. And I always say I need him to have that fat on the back of his arm like the lady at the church stirring them collard greens. Yeah, that's what I need in the trip. Y'all laugh, but you already know them jokers that's built like that right there. Give them some biscuits and some gravy, and guess what? You're not moving them.
Yeah. Hey, because you remember when Vita Vea sacked Matt Ryan? I did not know Big Boy was that fast. Yeah. I didn't. He sacked Matt Ryan and crawled across the ground real fast like a dog. I was like, when did he get that fast?
And here's the thing, man. When you sit back and look at some of the guys, like here's another guy. I've been telling people about it all the time. I showed footage of Kenny Gallup, the safety out of Howard. I showed that guy. That's a dude that you can get in the lower round, or you get him as an undrafted free agent. Bring him in. Guess what? He can compete and actually get a starting job. He's talented like that. But because of the school that he's coming out of, nobody wants to give him that shot. So, I agree. And I'm just being honest. We talking about we need help. That's your safety right there. 6 feet tall, a little over 205, and he can definitely play pool. And then here's a linebacker that I've been telling people about, Aaron Smith out of South Carolina State. That is another guy that could be a piece of this defense that could help out. Because go back to the Celebration Bowl and look who led that team in tackles in that game. That's just one game. He was doing that all year. He can play the pass. He can play the run. He definitely can shed a 300-pounder if he needs to, and he's very smart football player. And anybody that came out of that South Carolina, this was their first year without Buddy Pugh. And anybody that know about South Carolina State know Buddy Pugh has put over 100 players in the league.
And see, that's my thing.
Canada,
that's
Canada
the
too.
Reason why I'm not as mad about Grady as I was earlier, because I seen sparks out of Dorless. I seen sparks out of Root. We ain't even got to see we seen what Helms can do. He just got hurt. We ain't even get to see Braylon Trice yet.
But you know, Rook ain't no true zero technique. You got to get somebody.
I'm not
got to
put
Rook in the 3 technique. You got to get him at the 3 technique.
On that zero. Yeah. On the zero, I'm gonna tell you who I want on the zero out the draft. The boy out of Kentucky.
Oh, you talking about Walker? Yeah.
Yes.
The last time
I'm gonna tell you this though, Rich. I'm gonna tell you this. I think with Grady Jarrett leaving, I think that, man, this changed the entire outlook for the Falcons simply because I think they're going to take Grant from Michigan at 16. And also, y'all know Nick Skirton's draft stock have dropped to the 2nd round. He could, from Texas A&M, he could also be available for the Falcons at number 2. So I think with the way, like, and most of these guys' draft stock is dropping because other guys are just outperforming these guys. We know what they can do on the field. But I mean, like you said, Rich, man, and like we all been saying, this draft, I mean, I really believe the Falcons can build their defense from this draft, and also a lot of these, these undrafted free agents that are going to come from these HBCUs, man. So we looking at the situation like, boom, it's a slap in the face. But if this is going to show us how much Terry Fontenot wants his job. This is going to show us. Now he's put to the test, and I believe anytime a man is put to a test, either he gonna come out swinging or he gonna lay down. And right now, my new nickname for Terry Fontenot, in the words of Martin Lawrence, ashy skull. You time to grease that skull up, man.
Hey,
Come
and
on, man.
I think
Hey,
he
man.
know it.
Get your thoughts together up there in your Superdome, man.
No, I think he know it. No, I think Terry know that, because if you look at every interview Terry been in, he looks super stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he know his job on the line. When you do the stuff
but then
that
it's
he's
like,
done.
nah, but the reason why I say that is because I don't think it's all the way about the job. I think he been up late night watching film, looking through names. He went back to the Terry he was when we first got him, where that man probably all in Africa looking for people right now to save his job.
No, I'm not finna let you do that. No, hell no. I'm not letting you do that. No. I'm gonna tell you like this, bro.
It's not just the job, though.
You sitting there saying that. Here's my thing. I'll believe it when we see how this draft goes at this point. That's when I'll believe it. Because guess what? You can stay up all night all you want to. He could be sitting there crying because he know his job on the line at this point. Because guess what? If he's not going to bring in players that are going to make a difference, guess what? It is what it is. Because let's be real. The only player that he really hit on so far is that man that went number 3 in that secondary.
Yeah.
Let's be real. That is the one player that he really hit on that's just been that dude since he stepped on the field.
Yeah.
Bijan is coming around, but I'm just saying, if you look at it, he's missed more than he's hit since he's been in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing too,
and that's what I mean.
Too,
like,
man. Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead, Rich.
No, I was just saying but see, I'm looking at it from the standpoint like bro said. My back has been against the wall before. So I know what it really takes when your back is against the wall. Sometimes it may not be stress about the job. He may have to put, you know how sometimes you delegate work, but they not doing this. Just say the scouts ain't doing what you really need them to do, obviously. So now, the reason why I say I think it's deeper than the job is because now I think he took it into his own hands. Because if any real man back against the wall, I'm not delegating no more work. I'm going to put it in my hands. So if I fail, it's because of me. It's not because I sent 3-4 scouts out there. That's what I mean when I say I think it's deeper than a job with his stress. I do think he up at nights, because any man who back against the wall from losing millions, it's time to take the reins into my hands. Like Raheem finally did at the end of the season. I got to take the reins in my hand, which you should have had him in your hand from the beginning. But I think Terry got lax on his job because we were doing good. Kirk worked until he didn't.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing too. I ain't mean to cut y'all, Rich.
Oh no, you good.
Thing. If Terry's fun, this is. I hope someone from the Falcons is listening right now. It's simple. We can sit up here and talk. Like I said, we can talk about the secondary until they understand that we have not gotten to the quarterback. You take every coin you have and you invest in your front 4. You invest in your front 7 total. I guarantee if they go out and fix the real issue, we know the Falcons are going to score points. We got to figure out center, and I think what we have on offense, we don't know what Rondale Moore's going to do coming back next year. I do think they may sneak a receiver in the draft or go out and get somebody that they can afford, right? But if the Atlanta Falcons do what everybody else, do what 80% of the NFL has done, figure out how to get this defensive front better. Go and get you a center. Now you got to replace your center. Maybe one more offensive lineman. But if they get this defensive front together and get to the quarterback, that's going to be the great equalizer.
That's sometimes why I can't really say nothing about AJ, because AJ basically got to play on the line right now.
I will say that though, AJ get beat like George Foreman did in the jungle sometimes.
He do.
No, wait a minute. Hold up. I ain't even gonna let you get on. No, if you gonna put somebody out there and you gonna say you gonna throw George Foreman name in there, nah, he get his ass put up and down like Joe Frazier did in that first Foreman fight. Because guess what? DK Metcalf pretty much was George Foreman, and he was Joe Frazier. If you remember what happened.
In the same way.
Think about it. He grabbed DK grabbed him and Debo'd him to my son. You gonna sit right here, son, until he runs in the end zone. Hold on.
DK, Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm just saying, if you gonna compare him to anybody, you know what? I ain't even gonna disrespect Smoking Joe like that. I can't do that. Rest in peace, Joe Frazier. Can't do him like that because people was actually scared of that dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I'm a huge fight fan too, Boone, so I like the references.
Yeah.
But if I got to say it, I'm gonna be real. AJ Terrell is like Tommy Hearns. That's the best way to describe him. Everybody, he gonna give you a fight, but you hit him with that one punch, it's over.
Hey, that's why they call him the Hitman, but they also call him the Get Hitman.
Hey, but that's why I think that what you call it was a good compliment to him because he was bigger.
Who, Hughes?
Yes, that's why I think Hughes was a good compliment to him. But I'm with bro. In this draft, just go get DTs and edges because if you know the Philly did not blitz one time in that Super Bowl.
No,
which one you talking about? You talking about the first one they lost to Kansas City? Or
no, I'm talking about this one. This one, they didn't.
Well, think about it. When you got a guy in the middle like a Jalen Carter and Jordan
and Hamilton Williams,
and then you got on the edge, you got Nolan Smith coming off the side. I mean, what you gonna do?
But that's why I said I think this draft. This why I said I think, bro, right? We need to go DT and edge all the way down the list. We can fix the corner.
It's too many. It's too many.
Yeah.
Hey, Texas boy, I want to ask you this, fam. What if we end up landing that kid from Texas, Sorrell from Texas, and you get a Walter Nolan in your first two picks? What if you land those two? Because Sorrell is a bad boy. That's one that's not getting talked about.
Yeah, he a sleeper because even in the mock drafts, they got him like a late 7th-round pick.
And think about it. When we talked about, and here's my thing. I told everybody up front, I said, when I watched him, even though they lost to Georgia both times, and I picked up on him after that game, and I was just like, man, this dude really can play. And I mean, he was dominating.
Yeah.
Like, he's going up against guys that are first rounders and was manhandling these dudes.
Another player coming out of University of Texas who they got a late round draft grade on is David Jabinda. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but number 33 from Texas, the linebacker.
Yeah. I think the best linebacker they had on their team was number 11. That's just, that dude, I can't think of his name, but if anybody knows in the chat, put it up. But he flies from sideline to sideline. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I got Devondre Campbell vibes from that dude, being honest. And I ain't had them vibes in a long time. And let's be honest, even though Trevor Etienne was getting off, they was putting hats on him in that game too. Sorrell was putting a hat on him. Number 11 was putting a hat on him, and number 33, the kid that you was talking about, was putting a hat on him.
Man, it's like I've been saying.
That's how I feel about
we need
Jack
a draft
Sawyer.
like 2016. We need a draft like 2016. Like the DTs, there's no reason why. Okay, if we go get a Walter Nolan, that's our 3 tech. It ain't no reason why we can't go pick up a Derek Harmon or Alfred Collins, Deion Walker, somebody who's.
I'm gonna give y'all
Derek Harmon.
I'm gonna give you one more sleeper guy that nobody's talking about, right? Braden Swinson out of LSU, a guy that plays inside and outside.
Nice. And guess what?
And they have him falling to the Atlanta Falcons in the 4th round.
But guess who dominated him though in the Senior Bowl? Carson Vincent. The guy that I told you about out of Alabama.
You right.
I'm hurt. When I say I'm hurt, because I know the Falcons ain't gonna look his way. And guess what? It'll be just our luck that he go to either New York, Tampa, or he go to New Orleans. Because the one thing I know about New Orleans, they don't mind grabbing an old lineman from HBCUs. They got one of their starters that's a starter right now. So when you look at it, it's like, well, damn. How are we going to, how are we going to be when it comes to drafting a defensive tackle in the 2025 draft? You have so many choices, but I'll give you this. There's a kid that a lot of people they're not talking about, and quiet is so. He spoke on Alfred Collins. there's a gentleman that's out of Nebraska that I've been talking about for the longest. Quiet as it's kept. Out of Nebraska. And he's a 300 pounder, and he definitely is an underrated player or whatnot coming out. And it's scary to think about. His last name's Robinson, I think. But you know, he's one of those big kids that's coming out or whatnot. But if you look at it, JJ Pegues is another guy that they're not talking about coming out.
I'm gonna tell you who another sleeper, Tonka Hemingway.
Yeah, Tonka's nice. I'm gonna give you another one that everybody might know about or whatever that's around the Atlanta area. I talked about him. Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
A lot of people ain't talking about him.
Yeah.
Hey, did y'all see him against Georgia though?
Miami
did y'all see him against Georgia?
Miami
and I agree with that. You know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that, Ryan, man. Hey, that's a name that nobody's talking about. And he did, like I said, it started when it started over there when they won over there in Ireland, man, against Florida State. But like I said, for me, interior guys, man, I'm banking on them three big boys from Michigan. Graham, who else? Like I said, Graham, Stewart, and
Grant,
big boy, man, like I said, I'm banking on those guys, man, because those guys were ferocious. And going back to Alabama last year, going back to the Rose Bowl and the national championship, those guys have been doing this for 2 years straight, man. So
I'm gonna give you this. I got another, and I see Will, you back up in here. I got another defensive tackle for you. I know I said I don't want nothing else out of University of Florida, but there's only one guy that I would take out of Florida at this point. Gentleman by the name of Cam Jackson, 6'6", 330, out of University of Florida.
Oh yeah, yeah. I drafted him in like the 6th round just because he's 6'6", 3'4".
But fellas, here's the thing: you can't draft size. I mean, you can draft size because at the end of the day, they still gonna be big, and it's still gonna be hard to move against them. So if you don't get any of these guys that you want right off the bat, I've already said, if we can't get Walter Nolan or we can't get JJ Pegues, go get Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech. Go get Cam Jackson out of Florida. 6'6", 328 pounds. Come on, man. And then Biggers is 6'6", 320 pounds. Like, you can't pass on a guy like that.
Hey, that's what I was trying to explain to you. That's why you see so many free agents this year, because I think every team realized this draft so deep, you can mess around and just fall into a DT if you do it right.
And here's another guy that I'm going to throw for you. I'm going to give you another guy. I want my guy 6'5" and above, but there's one guy that I'll sit back and I'll put out there because I know that he was developed by Caden Ellis's dad. And Caden Ellis's dad put out monsters. His name is Junior Tafuna out of a defensive tackle out of Utah.
We should have went and got Caden brothers.
Think about it. Anything that come out of Utah, y'all already know when it comes to defensive line, edge, and linebacker, it's nasty coming up out of that school. Don't let it fool you because it's a Mormon state. It is nasty work coming out of that school.
Yeah, hey, that's why I said we should have got Caden. I mean, I wanted us to get Caden brother. You see what he doing over there?
You talking about Jaden Ellis, yeah.
Yeah, I ain't mean to cut y'all off, but Cooper Kupp went to Denver Broncos too. And don't be surprised, fellas. I think we could trade up with Denver Broncos, move from that 15 and get to that 20 pick, and I think they'll give us a second round for some more draft picks. But that'd be a good swap for us because we need some more draft picks, man.
Now, another and here's the thing: we're talking about D linemen, and I'll give you this, man. Like we talked about Walker, we talked about Alfred Collins, we talked about Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State, 6'3", 334. I mean, when you look at it, my thing is this. I don't want any more short defensive linemen. I want guys that's 6'5" and above. If I'm drafting at this point, the only guy that I'm drafting that's short is that D tackle I just told you about, Tafuna, out of Utah. Because again, anything that Caden Ellis's dad touches, you obviously see what happens in the NFL. All I can say is at this point it's not sad, but I see a lot of things that's coming because, again, we talked about edge defenders as well. I know we all got our heart set on the top guys, but let's be real.
Nah, I really want Jack Sawyer just because when I watched him play, you know who he kept reminding me of on that line? TJ Watt punishing Caleb McGarry.
But Jack
Sawyer, a sleeper because
but Jack Sawyer is an outside linebacker. He's not an edge, bro. He's an outside linebacker. He just has that quick first step. Like he can play in certain sets as that, but he's an outside linebacker. But I get where you coming from. Like
I want Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina.
That's another nasty one. I'm gonna give you another guy that's nasty at the edge. Jared Ivey, 6'6", 275.
Oh, but see, they say that Jared Ivey got heavy feet. That's the only reason why his draft stock is low. But I think, and that's another thing with these new coaches who we got, and Kevin Ollie and Rutenberg. I think we finna go get some pieces we didn't think that we was gonna get.
And that's why I keep telling people
like even though a lot of the top guys, of course, they're gonna be taken off the board day one. There's still gonna be a lot of decent free agents available for the Falcons to afford. So I'm not gonna sit up. I mean, we know it's bad, but I think it could turn out to be a blessing in disguise, maybe. Because like I said, it's just for the Falcons, just about getting who you can get right now and drafting correctly. So those are the first two boxes we have to check off. So,
But Albrecht said it in his interview. He said we got to get faster on that line. Cause I'm gonna be honest. When Albrecht had his interview, that's when I knew we weren't gonna keep Grady because of how he said what he said. It's hard for him to keep Grady after coming from the Jets, watching the Queen Mitchell and them big boys that's fast up there. You say what you want about the Jets, but their defense was not the problem.
Man, their defense been dominant for the last 15 years, man.
The only top five defense
never had no
darn
offense. They just never had an offense. Like, I'm gonna give y'all this:
Sam Darnold and Mark Sanchez to be the franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and here's the crazy part: when you sit back and look at it, a lot of people don't realize this. Here's my thing, and I'm gonna tell you just like this. I know I might piss some people off when I say this. If we fire Raheem Morris next year, it's a big if. Go get Rex Ryan or Lovie Smith.
Yeah, or gotta go get a veteran.
I agree. Or if the 49ers if the 49ers have another choke season, I say you bring your boy back, man.
Who?
Kyle Shanahan.
Imagine a Kyle Shanahan with a Michael Penix Jr. and a Bijan Robinson. Could you imagine that?
I don't think he would want to come back to Atlanta, honestly, bro.
I mean, hey, I look at it this way. They will have a little bit more cap next year, and I guarantee wherever Shanahan go, a couple 49ers coming with him. Like maybe a Fred Warner at linebacker in 2026. I don't know what his contract situation is.
Hey,
but
man, John Lynch ain't gonna let
trades, man.
Hey, Lynch ain't gonna let that happen. But think about it, bro. Think about this. When did Rex Ryan really have a quarterback?
Never.
Look at how I want y'all to really like Rich, Tex, boom. I really and here's the thing, man. I really
there was at one point Mark Sanchez was
but just think about
but it wasn't never really.
No. Think about this, family. Rex Ryan with a Michael Penix Jr. He finally got a quarterback. Let this man build his defense. Let this man bring concepts here to Atlanta that you haven't seen. Because here's the thing about Rex, and he took it from his daddy. Right. We're going to be the most physical team on the field. You might win a game, but guess what? You're going to know you was in a fight with us the whole game. We teach toughness. We teach toughness with this team. Lovie Smith is the same way. Be honest. Think about it, fellas. Lovie went to the Super Bowl with a Gator quarterback who was trash. With a hellified defense.
That defense was fire.
Oh, by the way.
But see, it wasn't because of the quarterback.
We might be getting Tommy Smith off of that defense on here, Rich and y'all. We might be able to get him on an interview. I'm working on that right now. I'm just keeping it a little under wraps.
For Rex Ryan, it wasn't about his coaching. He just don't kiss ass.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. We
No,
need
what
that
I'm
here.
saying, you're good with that, but these GMs and owners don't be good with it. I remember that fiasco. He even said it a little bit in them. He's not an ass kisser. He know what he want. He know what he need. If you don't get it for him, you see what I'm saying? He's vocal. A lot of
But I
people
got a
don't like
question for
vocal
you.
people.
But let's be real. When have we really had somebody that wasn't tap dancing like the Nichols brothers as a head coach here? And I ain't talking about just Raheem. I even go back. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The only other coach that had a damn backbone on this team is, I can say it's three coaches that I can say out of the Falcons history that had a backbone on this team. Jerry Glanville, Dan Reeves, and Mike Smith. Say what you want about Mike Smith. Mike didn't play.
No. And the Falcons, they made the playoffs, 3 times on the Mike Smith?
Actually, more than that.
No. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Think about it, bro.
But you know they got mad at Mike Smith.
We just lost every year
said
until 2012.
Because what Mike Smith said, sacks aren't everything to a defensive line, and they just took that and blew that way out of proportion. He said blitzing ain't always good. Somewhere along in them line, he was basically saying the same thing that Philly just proved. He want a front four that can move.
Thank you. And let's be real, fellas. Those two coaches that I just mentioned, when you talk about a Lovie Smith, when you talk about a Rex Ryan, the Patriots lose the AFC Championship game if they have a real quarterback in New York.
Yeah.
You had LaDainian Tomlinson. You had Wayne Quebec, who was in his prime at that time. You literally had one of the most dominant offensive lines in the game at that time, and you had one of the best defenses led by Bart Scott. So again, when you talk about this, as a matter of fact, Darrell Reeves was on that defense.
And Antonio Cromartie.
And Cromartie. So when you talk about this, I sit back and say, y'all really don't want a guy like that here who knows what he's doing? And you give him a quarterback finally? And let's be honest, Bijan would not be a scat back. Yeah, you use his skills, but guess what? Every running back that has played for Rex Ryan, they have been north and south. They might shake a little bit, but guess what? They get from point A to point B. Same with Lovie Smith.
Sean Green, LaDainian Thompson, because I know, because my wife is a diehard Jets fan.
And let's be honest, look at the Bears. You look at Matt Forte, you look at Cedric Benson, rest in peace. I mean, when you look at what they had, and now I'm gonna talk about Levy, Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Peanut Tillman. Then you had Mike Brown in that secondary that was coming up.
And he had the Georgia boy who was opposite Peanut Tillman.
His name is on the tip of my tongue. I can't even think about it. He played for Mark Richt.
Cornerback.
It'll come to me. It's gonna come to me probably right after the show ends. But just think about it. When you have defensive masterminds that can strengthen the weakness of this team, because guess what? We got offense.
Hey, that's why I said I
sort of got that with Kevin Ollie and Obrit now.
Hey,
but just think about it, though.
Honest, I do sort of agree with Boom on one thing because I said this consistently during this year. I don't know how many times I said this. I said, give Kyle Shanahan, Penix, Bijan, Algier, Drake London. Hold on, let me finish. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, because he's one that know how to scheme a tight end. See, LA didn't really use tight ends, and I think that's the biggest problem with the scheme is Kyle don't fit. But you give him a Kyle Pitts, a Drake London, a Bijan Robinson, a Tyler Algier. Because remember, he had Freeman and Coleman, and he knew what to do with both of them.
Yeah. Both of those guys had 800 yards apiece that season.
So I got to throw
this
out here.
Ain't no way we should be not running split backs. No way.
Hey, but here's the thing. The one thing about a Rex Ryan, now you're saying that he wouldn't respect Terry. No, here's the thing. He actually would respect Terry because guess what? Terry would get him what he wants. Because think about what he's done since he's been here. He's been getting coaches what they want and what they
He got Arthur Smith everything he wanted.
So again, I can't really say that because here's the thing. If Terry works hard for that man gonna deliver for him. He's gonna have Atlanta in the playoffs. The question is, will we be able to get over the hump? And yes, I'm talking about it because Rex Ryan said he want to be a head coach again. I'm gonna say this here, Raheem. You don't get this stuff right. I'm gonna tell you this here. Black, white, I don't give a damn. Color don't matter to me. The only colors that matter to me are right here, red, black, and white. And this logo. That's the only thing that matters to me. I know it was a great moment to have a black coach here. But again, it was too little too late, because guess what? You could have had a Rex, you could have had a Lovie Smith, or hell, even a Mike Singletary. People don't realize Singletary built that team that went to that Super Bowl.
Man, you could have had Leftwich here, truthfully.
As an OC, heck yeah. Right off the bat, because Leftwich is looking for a job.
This all go back to last January. They had a chance to hire a 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. All he asked for was full control of football operations. That's all he asked for. Think about it. Think about the guys that Belichick brought in while he was there. Randy Moss, Darrelle Revis. The list go on and on and on. This man had the greatest tight end combo of Hernandez and Big Goofy. Listen, guys, look at what Belichick did, man. Look at the running backs he brought in. Look at how they consistently kept good offensive linemen, good defensive linemen. And you telling me that's not the guy you want after you went 7-10, 7-10, 7-10, 4-12, right? The year before Arthur Smith got here. So you telling me you don't want this guy that still gave to this day, even when he left the Patriots with structure. They haven't been a good team, but he left them with structure and a format.
They got a blueprint. Yeah.
Bill Belichick gonna be the next move.
But guess what?
Raheem messed up. Because you already know that Bill Belichick got that clause in his contract to get out of North Carolina.
All I'm gonna say is this here. Raheem, go ahead, because guess what? Arthur Blank's gonna say, y'all try it y'all way. It's my turn. Belichick, come on over here. And I don't give a damn how y'all other Falcon fans feel about it, because guess what? It's a failed operation. You have to do something drastic, because look, this man would literally bring structure to Atlanta, something that we don't have. The reason why they didn't want him here was because Rich McKay know he wasn't gonna kiss his ass. Rich McKay knew that.
That's what I was saying about Rex Ryan. Some people,
but it's a difference though. But here's the difference though. Rex coached one of the greatest defenses of all time in that 2000. Think about look at how ironic this is. His dad coached the 85 Bears. His daddy did. Then you get 15 years later, guess what? Rex is coaching the Baltimore Ravens of the 2000, the D coordinator. How ironic is that? That's all I'm gonna say. When you sit back and get somebody in here that understands what they're doing, let's be real, fellas.
But see, Baltimore different though, because that's where Dean Pease at now.
Oh wow,
Dean Pease and Chuck Smith.
He been around Baltimore a couple times though.
But think about it though. Baltimore already got pieces there. Chuck Smith, and I'm gonna say this here. Two guys that should be already back here. In my opinion, Ike Hilliard shouldn't be here. I'm sorry. Ike, it is what it is. I don't care if it gets back to you. I don't care if it gets back to you. I don't think you should have been here in Atlanta. The man that should have had the job was Terrence Mathis, the man who was a leading receiver in this franchise, and a man that's helping coach young men that are in the NFL behind closed doors. No disrespect to Morehouse, because like I said, I love all HBCUs. This man had to take a head coaching job at an HBCU just to get an opportunity. But my thing is, if you're seeing some of the guys that he's coached and they're producing in the NFL, why would you not want him here? Why not? He's one of your own.
They don't like tapping back
I'm
into
gonna tell you
the old
this,
players.
My bad, Rich. Tell you this. One thing about that boy Terrence Mathis, though, Morehouse is in the SIAC football conference. A lot of guys from that conference are transferring to Morehouse. And Coach Keaton over at Clark, I'm gonna tell you pretty soon. I'm gonna tell you, Clark Atlanta may win the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference next year.
Not if the Miles Golden Bears got something to say about it.
Like we don't like it, man. We don't like them Albany State Gold. We don't like. Man, I lost 2 conference championship games to those guys. Man. I played in 3 conference championship games. And they had Darren Thomas at quarterback, the guy that ended up playing in the CFL. I want to say he's still playing now, but man, when I started at ASU, Miles was the doormat of the conference. The conference used to be where whoever win the most games is conference champions. But the first ever inaugural game was here in Atlanta at Clark Atlanta, where we played Miles. They came in 5-6. I mean 5-5. We 8-2 going to the championship game. Those guys beat us. We still made the Division II playoffs, but the Miles Golden Bears with Coach Ruffin, I don't know if he's still the coach. Man, those guys, that's a good football team over there in Birmingham, man.
They won it, so they beat Clark this year in the championship. But when you sit back and you look at it, let's be honest, fellas, like you said, Terrence Mathis, but here's the problem with Morehouse. Morehouse is not going to drop any of their standards because guess what? It's a traditional school for pretty much making businessmen, doctors, lawyers, and it's not a football school. Terrence Mathis is bringing a lot of football players. Steve Broussard is the running back coach. You got Bob Whitfield is the O-line coach. I mean, he brought in professionals to help, and he's helping these guys get better. They only got one win last year, but like I said,
I think it'll work though, because if you remember, Georgia Tech didn't start off as a football school neither, and you see what happened when they hit the slump. And I think Tech gonna be a lot better because Tech been producing some players as of the last year or two.
But I found out why the football program been the way it's been. Like I was actually, I used to do Uber and Lyft. The last time I did Lyft was when they had when the Super Bowl. No, it wasn't the Super Bowl. It was the national championship game, right? And I was talking to these young people that go to Tech, a couple athletes, and they were saying that Georgia Tech is looking for 4.0 football players, 3.8s, 3.5s, right? They're looking for the intellectual, and that's what similar to Morehouse. Whenever we played Morehouse, while I was playing for ASU, we would say we got them intellectual boys on the schedule this week, right? And so if Georgia Tech recruited like Georgia and recruited like SEC schools, going to get guys from the hood, going to get
they ain't got to leave home.
If Georgia Tech would literally be the best team in the Southeast, man, they're not in the SEC. But if Georgia Tech actually recruited that way, because think about a lot of people would love to go to Georgia Tech just to have the Georgia Institute of Technology on their degree. Think about it. That's automatic networking. That's automatic marketing. And I still choose HBCUs over anything. I think one of the greatest HBCUs in the country is the Howard University. But just to think about it, if Georgia Tech said, you know what, we're going to let some of these 2.8 guys in. We're going to let some 3.0 guys in. Hell, we're going to let a 2.3 guy in just so we can win.
But what'd you say, Rich?
No, I think they already doing it. What made me say that is because, see, I've been, as of the last 2 years, since, it's time, since I can finally watch a Georgia Tech game without them getting blowed out. They scanned to the sideline, right? When they scanned to the sideline, I was like, oh, they went and got a bunch of YNs on their team. I'm talking about them boys turn. I'm like, all y'all ain't got no.
But you get a lot. But here's the thing, though. This is how a lot of them
y'all ain't got no 4.0 like that.
It's not them recruiting them. What they've been doing, hitting the transfer portal and coming over. That's how that's been happening. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's not that they coming in officially that way. They're coming in because they already have a degree in their back pocket, associates or whatever, and they're letting them come in. And they have to still qualify to get in, but they're getting a lot of guys to backdoor from other programs to come through. That's how they're getting a lot of that talent.
Sideline was turned, Ryan. When they pan to the sideline, I'm looking. I said, boy, all y'all ain't got no 4.0.
But think about
y'all
this, though.
I agree with you, man, because this is the thing. Think about it. It's easier for you to get into Georgia Tech if you're already a college student based on that, than it is coming from high school where they want guys. Okay, we're gonna bring you in. We got to make sure you're gonna graduate. And think about it.
That's what Cam Newton did. He went to JUCO just to get in Auburn.
Yeah,
or Florida, wherever he went.
Yeah, he was in Blinn. He was at Blinn College in the middle of Texas. But just think about it, fellas, and we're gonna wrap this thing up. Just think about how the recruiting could be. Well, I'm sorry, the scouting could be when you have guys that work with a lot of these local kids that are going to college right now. They could help bring stuff to the Falcons. Like a Chuck. Think about it. Chuck Smith works kids out in the offseason, high school, college, pros. They all work at his facility. He trains them. And outside of them training them, think about this. He gets firsthand and first vision on what a guy's work ethic is, what his strengths and weaknesses are. Then he's got access to what he gets access to their film so he can see, all right, we're going to work on this, this, and this with your technique and da-da-da-da. When you have that type of plug, you bring that home to Atlanta. And
hey, but you want to know what the biggest problem I think with our scouts is, even though they won't say it, I think the biggest problem with our scouts is they don't watch college football. Everybody don't watch college football like how we watch college. You sort of get what I'm saying? Like, what I've noticed is a lot of people who watch pros don't really watch college, and a lot of people who watch college don't really watch pro like that, because college is way more exciting. Because one person called, I forgot who I was watching, but they called the Atlanta Falcons and the Saints a big college rivalry, really. So what I think our scouts' problem is, you're not watching film until it's time for the draft. You don't like how we watch college. We watch HBCU. We watch the ACC. We watch the Big Ten. They don't do
watch the North Dakota States and the South Dakota States.
Dakota State, which is a sleeper school. Which is a sleeper school. But see, we watch that. I don't think these scouts do it to the combine start, and that's the problem. They not looking all through the year. Like, because if you want to be real, our scouts should be going to Cedar Grove, Southwest DeKalb. They should already be 3 years ahead, because Georgia and Florida and Alabama produce the best football players besides California.
Fellas, and I'm going to give you this here. And this is, I'm gonna lay this out here, and this is somebody that I'm gonna put it out. What's up, Wolf? Shout out to Wolf. He's in the chat or whatnot. Nah, ain't nobody scared of Todd Bowles, man. Like I said, they're beatable, dog. Ain't nobody. Hey, I know you saying invisible bullet. Ain't nobody fearing him. But there's a kid that's at South Dakota State. Is a monster. He's a redshirt senior, 6'3", 230 pounds. His name is Mark Gronowski. Monster.
Are they the ones with the yellow and green, or the green and
yellow
white?
And blue? Blue and yellow.
I watched the South Dakota.
Yeah,
I watched the South Dakota and North Dakota game late one night. Boy, them boy was out there playing. I'm talking about playing.
So the Walter Payton Award on the FCS level is their Heisman Trophy. That's the Heisman for them. So he's a Walter Payton Award winner. Won 2 national championships, 22 and 23, and was the MVP in both of those games. This is what I'm saying. If we didn't get Penix, this was a dude that you grab. And if you want to look at it and you look at his numbers or whatnot, career-wise, this kid has thrown for 10,330 yards. He has 1,190 attempts with a 63.5 completion percentage, 93 touchdowns with 20 interceptions in his career. Rushing, he's got 1,767 yards, averages 4.6 yards a carry, and has 37 career touchdowns. His record is 49-6 out of 55 career games.
That's a quarterback right there, man.
And see, that's the thing I hate about us sometimes. We set a trend and don't follow it, because what I've been hearing lately in the media, a lot of the folks that were mad that we got Penix understood our plan. And they said that's what they noticed a lot of teams are doing. They don't want the fresh quarterback that played for a year no more. They want the Penixes and the Bo Nixes and the Jaden Dane. They want them a little older, because they noticed that they put them all 3 up there together: Penix, Bo Nix, and Jaden Daniels. And then they put like Trevor Lawrence. For all them folks from the last couple of drafts, they said, you want to know what the difference between these 3 and those, why those aren't successful? They didn't play the full 4 years in college. They only played a year, maybe 2 at max. They said out of these 3 players, they said these 3 quarterbacks, even with Michael Penix, 3 games has produced more than Trevor Lawrence. All the ones that went in that quarterback heavy draft.
Here's my thing. I'm happy with Michael Penix Jr. But I'm gonna say this: fair use, fair use, fair use. I'm just gonna show you. This is what I mean when I say you got to pay attention to everything that goes on when it comes to seeing what talent is. You can't be biased when there's talent on the field. Fair use, fair use, fair use. This is Mark Gronowski.
Quick throw, and it works. Just to help calm
his nerves down too, man.
For the task at hand. End zone. The season opener of the 2022 season in Iowa City. Gronowski to throw again. Trying to run away from pressure, throwing on the run, and the reception is made. And
here's a 3rd and 18 for Gronowski.
Yeah, winner, man.
That boy a winner.
That's a winner. I mean, just look at him. That's NFL.
I just wanted to show you a sample of that because that's at South Dakota State. And I'm going to tell y'all this. New Orleans is looking at him right now.
They need
New Orleans
to.
is looking
Honestly,
at that right
can't
now.
even be mad at him.
But let's be honest. I'm happy with what we have. I'm not saying I'm not happy with that.
Oh, it's fans that's not happy with what we got at all. They don't like Penny.
I'm going to say this. To the fans that are not happy about Michael Penix Jr., I'm going to tell y'all something. I do believe in the midst of all this chaos that we have right now, because let's be honest, if Michael Penix Jr. had started after the Denver game or the Minnesota game, Falcons probably would have won the NFC South, and I do think they probably would have won a playoff game. I think in the midst of all the calamity right now, Michael Penix Jr. is still the great equalizer, because I'm going to be honest with you. Our offense is built for a shootout now with this type of quarterback. We've always been built for a shootout because we know they're going to score points. If the Falcons can just generate a good enough defense, we don't have to be the best defense. We just need a defense that's going to get this man the ball more times than he got last year and to make sure that our offense can stay on the field, have an opportunity to score points. We know we're going to score points. Like, I know we lost a lot with Grady and Drew, but I do believe with this young man at quarterback, I think they have a plan in set. They have to. So if we can get a defense that can be good enough, get off the field a few times on 3rd downs, give us about 3.5 sacks a game, in key situations. That's what we're looking for the team to become more clutch.
Hey, but then the crazy part about it is, think about if Michael Penix had started, because our defense was doing that at first. Yeah. Our defense did that the first 6 games. They just fell off a cliff for one, because I think it was scheme. And I'm still a firm believer that Grady been calling that defense. I don't think they really let Jimmy touch it until you could almost tell when someone else touched that defense after game 7.
I agree with that, Rich, but look at it this way, though. I think Kirk Cousins stole the momentum from the defense. Let me tell you why. He threw interceptions for 5 straight weeks. Yep. Think about it. The defense saw more playing time than they were used to. They were content with with the situation they were in. Okay, we're on the field, but our offense is giving us a breather. Kirk kept turning the ball over, and guess what? In my opinion, Kirk helped wear the defense down after week 12.
I think it was earlier than that, because if you remember, a lot of them, when we first started losing, even with the Saints, the defense got him the ball back. He just kept fucking up, messing up. The defense gets you the ball back 2 or 3 times a game on 4th down, and then they got to go right back out there because you really got hurt, but you don't want to tell nobody you got hurt because your ego so big or small that you scared Penny. That's how I knew that report was real. Remember when that report came out, they said the best quarterback in the building is Michael Penix, hands down.
Yeah.
That was a true statement from whoever got that they got that statement from. And in the back of Kurt's mind, that was that RG3 situation all over again.
Yep.
All I'm gonna say with this here, and then we wrapping this thing up. I'll tell you this here. The closest thing that we got to a Warren Moon is right here. Warren Moon said, if there's ever a quarterback that can throw a pass like I used to throw it, and he said this on an interview.
Yeah.
He said, take our jersey numbers off. And he said, look at footage of me throwing a football, and you look at him. We literally are very identical with how we throw the football and how that spiral comes out and how how that pass got some heat on it. So again, at this point, I'm not gonna lie. If we wouldn't have taken him, my money was on Mark Gronowski. I know everybody saying, "Oh man, no." You pretty much saw clips of what I showed you tonight, and that right there, when he gets in the NFL, the only people who know about him is NFL scouts. Don't nobody else know about him. New Orleans looking for a quarterback. Spencer Rattler is gonna be a backup. God forbid they get that man in New Orleans. That's all I'm gonna say. We gonna have our hands full. So
they gonna have their hands full too.
Yeah. But here's the thing: if we can't stop them and can't get a defense, they ain't gonna have their hands full. But anywho, fellas, I appreciate y'all for coming on. Boom, Rich, Ron, Will, GA Texas Boy, and everybody that's tuned in the chat. Hey man, we got a special. Ice will be paying us a visit on Thursday. So that's already lined up. So y'all tune in Thursday. We're going to talk a little bit about the Falcons and also with the NFL. And like I said, we have a lot of things that's happening, man. So as we always say here in the cage, man, you either get right or you get left. Rich, tell the folks where they can find you at, and boom, you know the drill.
You can find me at Dirty Falcon Podcast, man. Y'all tune in to me. I follow everybody, so yeah, just we're gonna show each other love. That's all I got to say.
What's going to find me on D is in the matter of fact on my title right here. DA-ATL Sports on YouTube, DATL Sports on Twitter, and I'm working on a Facebook page as we speak.
Hey man, you need to hurry up and get there so we can swap info, bro.
All right, cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I do be coming home. I gotta also swap with Rick. Well, Rich got here, so I'm definitely gonna let y'all know when I'm back at the crib, man. But hey, y'all check out the new exit video that was already loaded up. So it's not like the normal, it's a little different. So y'all be easy. We love you. We'll catch y'all Thursday at 8 p.m. You either get right or you get left. Ghosts.